Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Be Rich. This is Grandpa's Magic. And this is a new part of Grandpa's Magic. A new weekly part. It's going to be every Friday. We're doing Commander Deck Tech of sorts. Basically, I'm going to show off my decks that I have and what's in them and this kind of strategy that I'm trying to go with for each of these decks until I run out of decks. Hopefully I won't run out of decks because I'm constantly brewing. So first you see we have Arcades the Strategist. He cares about defenders a lot, things with big butts. So that's primarily the thing that we were going with in this deck is defenders. So he is a 1 green, white, blue, so 1 in Bant for a 3/5 Elder Dragon with flying and vigilance. Says whenever a creature with defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Each creature you control with defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and can attack as though it didn't have defender. So there's that. So the biggest defender that I could think of right off the top of my head that I knew for a fact that I had was Colossus of Akros. He is kind of pricey. He's an 8-drop, but he's a 10/10 defender, indestructible, and he has monstrosity 10, which means you can pay 10 generic mana, and if it's not monstrous, put 10 1/1 counters on him, and it becomes monstrous. And he says as long as he's monstrous, it has trample and can attack as though it didn't have defender. Although that doesn't really matter too much in this deck. Just the fact that he is a 10/10 indestructible and he's a defender, he's already off. We're off to a good start. So we got Masako the Humorless. Now she does not have defender, but if I'm going to be swinging with all my big butt creatures, they're going to be tapped because I don't have a whole lot of vigilance in here. And if they're going to be tapped, I still want them to be able to block. That's where Masako comes in. She has Flash. She's a 2/1 for 2 in the white. Tap creatures I control may block as though they were untapped. I think that it's a good card to have in any deck that runs white, really. Well, white and creatures at least. So next is Wall of Omens. It is 1 in a white for a 0/4 wall. It has defender. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. We've got Sidar Kondo of Jamura. 2 a green and a white for a 2/5 human knight with flanking. Creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. Now, a lot of these are going to be power 0. And a lot of them, and so he's going to make a lot of them unblockable. Almost. I think it's good. Tetsuko, Umazawa Fugitive, 1 in a blue for a 1/3 human rogue. Creatures with eye control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. Of course, this definitely makes almost all of my things unblockable. And she, I think, is just a good addition to the deck, like Sidar Kondo and Masako. We've got Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. It's a 2-drop, 0/4 defender. Tap, Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs deals 1 damage to target player. Activate this ability only if you control a desert or if there is a desert card in your graveyard. Now, I don't actually think that I have any deserts for that part to matter. He's just a 0/4 defender. It's 2-drop and it's a foil, so yeah, that's kind of why he's in there. Psychic Membrane. It's a 2 in a blue for a 0/3 wall. Whenever Psychic Membrane blocks, I may draw a card. Novice Knight. It's a 1-drop human knight, 2/3 defender. As long as it's enchanted or equipped, it can attack as though it didn't have defender. Now I do have a few things in here for that, so that's good. And the fact that he's just a 1-drop defender, and he's 2/3, he's just a good card, I think, for this deck. Suspicious Bookcase, 2-drop for a 0/4 wall with defender. Pay 3 tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. I think that's going along, you know, trying to make my stuff just come swinging at you unblockable. Probably I would use this to make Arcades unblockable if I'm swinging with Arcades. So we got Wall of Junk. He's a 2-drop for 0/7 wall. Whenever Wall of Junk blocks, return it to its owner's hand at end of combat. Now this is good synergy with the deck because A, it's a defender, so it comes in play. You know, if I've got him out, I'm going to draw a card. If I use it to block, I get to return it. That way I can play it again to draw more cards. Because I like to draw cards with this deck. Now, I like to play things, big old defenders, that way I can block and attack both with. So we got Amaranthine Wall. It's a 4-drop for a 0/6 wall. You pay 2, Amaranthine Wall gains indestructible until end of the turn. So again, you know, big butt wall that I can make indestructible. Hover Barrier is 2 and a blue for a 0/6 illusion wall with defender and flying, because you gotta have something to help with them pesky flyers. Cathedral Membrane, 1 and Phyrexian white, so I can either pay 1 white or 2 life for that symbol. It's a 0/3 artifact creature wall with defender. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield during combat, it deals 6 damage to each creature it blocked this turn, which could be very useful. Blessed Orator, 3 and a white for a 1/4 cleric. It's not defender, but it says other creatures I control get +0/+1, so it's helping put a bigger butt on the rest of my creatures, which is what I want because that's what they're going to deal their damage with. Wall of Frost, it's a 1 and 2 blue for a 0/7 defender wall. When Wall of Frost blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Now, as you can see, some of these are going to be, you know, you can pretty much tell which ones I'm going to use, you know, offensively and which ones are going to be defensively. This is going to be one of the defensive ones for the most part, unless there's nothing to be defensive about, and then it's going to be straight offensive. Speaking of offensive, people get offended when you put Gomazoa out there, especially if you have ways to put multiple Gomazoas, like copies of it. They don't like that at all. It's a 2 and a blue jellyfish, 0/3 defender and flying. It says tap, put Gomazoa and each creature it's blocking on top of their owner's libraries. Then those players shuffle the libraries. That's nuts. It's very gross. Then we got Wildfield Scarecrow. It's a 3-drop Scarecrow artifact creature, 1/4 defender. It says pay 2, sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Basically, you play it to get the ETB to draw a card, then you sack it to go get lands, which are of course filtering the deck out for you. Dazzling Ramparts is a 4 and a white for a 0/7 defender. Will pay 1 and a white, tap target creature. Again, that's one of the defensive ones. Most likely I'll use it to block, or maybe before you move to combat I'll just go ahead and tap it, and then with Masako I could still use it to block. So next is Cajun of the Vanishing Touch. It's a 1 and a 4 for a 0/3 spirit with defender. Whenever Cajun of the Vanishing Touch blocks a creature, return that creature to its owner's hand at end of combat. Again, it's one of those things that just it's defensive, and because it's going to just keep bouncing your thing if you keep swinging with it. Next is Sanctum Plow Beast. It's 4 white and a blue for a 3/6 defender artifact creature beast. Now, it has a high cost. It is a 3/6, But the nice thing about this one is it has plane cycling and or island cycling. So you can pay 2 and discard it and either search your library for a plains or an island card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So that's always a good thing, I think, to use that for. If you're late game and got plenty of mana, then sure, there's another beat stick for you. Monastery Flock is a 2 and a blue for a 0/5 bird with defender and flying. It also has morph, so you can pay it. You can play it for 3 generic mana face down as a 2/2 colorless morph creature, and then morph it for a blue at any time. Next is a 2-drop artifact creature wall with defender. It's a 0/4 with reach. Again, just defensive, offensive. That can be offensive and defensive. We got X-Bane Guardian. He's a 2 and a green for a 0/3 human druid with defender. This is tap, add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool where X is the number of creatures with defender you control, which is, as you see so far, has been quite a bit. So he's going to be producing quite a bit of mana for me, which is a good thing because I'm going to be drawing a lot of cards. So I want a lot of mana to be able to cast all these cards that I'm drawing into. Then we got Wall of Vines. It's a 1-drop plant wall with 0/3 with defender and reach. Cheap plant wall with reach. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. Benevolent Ancestor. It's 2 and a white for a spirit. 0/4 with defender. It says tap, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to target creature or player this turn. So again, this goes good with the earlier strategy of Masako I was talking about. So I could block it, tap, prevent some damage, or I can prevent damage and then still block because it's tap. It's a really good card. But it is definitely going to be one of those the defensive ones, not the offensive ones for the most part. We got Gleaming Bearer. He's a 2-drop for a 0/4 artifact wall with defender. It says when it dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Again, this is a good beat face until it dies, which then ramps you, which is always a good thing. Then we got Wall of Mist. It's a 1 and a blue for a 0/5 wall with defender. Just cheap, nothing so special. It's just a cheap beat face. Can't go wrong with cheap. Guardians of Meletus. It's a 3-drop 0/6 artifact creature golem with a defender. Again, it's kind of vanilla, but it's a 3-drop and he's a 0/6, so that's going to be a nice beat face himself. Wall of Blossoms, 1 in the green for a 0/4 wall. It says when it comes into play, draw a card. Kind of like that Wall of Omens, but green instead of white. Then we got Doorkeeper. He's a 1 and a blue for a 0/4 homunculus with defender. It says pay 2 and a blue, tap, target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of creatures with defender you control. So in case I want to start, milling people out, this is going to be my key to victory, because there's a lot of defenders, as you can see. Drift of Phantasms. It's a 2 and a blue for a 0/5 spirit with defender with flying. Here's the kicker: it has transmute, which means I can pay 1 and 2 blue, discard this card, search my library for a card with the same converted mana cost as this card, reveal it and put it in my hand, then shuffle my library, play only as a sorcery. So it has a 3-drop. It's a 0/5 flying defender. There are several other 3-drop things in here that if in case of emergency that I need to go get, and I need it more than this, that's where this comes in handy. If not, if I don't need to transmute it, then it's a 0/5 defender with flying that draws me a card. It's a beat face. Can't go wrong. Next is Primal Clay. It's a 4-drop artifact creature shapeshifter. As it enters the battlefield, it becomes my choice of a 3/3 artifact creature, a 2/2 artifact creature with flying, or a 1/6 wall artifact creature with defender in addition to its other types. So obviously I'm going to choose the third mode, so it enters as a wall with defender, to trigger my commander. It'll be a 1/6, which is not bad. Again, not a creature that has defender or not necessarily bigger butt than its attack, but this is a good card nonetheless. It's archetype or archetype of endurance, 6 and a green for a 6/5 enchantment creature boar. Creatures you control have hexproof. Creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and can't gain or have hexproof. Hexproof is always a beautiful thing, so why not add it in there, right? Mistform Warchief, 2 and a blue for a 1/3 illusion. It says creature spells I play that share a creature type with Mistform Warchief cost 1 less to play. Tap, Mistform Warchief's type becomes the creature type of my choice until end of turn. So I can sit there, get him out there. We could say I could get him out there turn 1 if I'm really lucky, or turn 2 most likely in this deck. So turn 2, turn 3, bam, make him an elder or a dragon, get my commander out on turn 3, and then from then on out, boom, he's a wall. All my walls cost less. That's always a nice thing, right? I can make him any type that I need him to help reduce any of the costs. So it's just a good card. And again, tapping him with Masako on the field will still allow me to block, which is just good value, I think. Oathsworn Giant. He's 4 and 2 white for a 3/4 with vigilance. It says other creatures you control get +0/+2 and have vigilance. So again, I do have vigilance, but he's not guaranteed to be on the field at any given time. So yeah. Next is Approach of the Second Sun. This is obviously one of the win cons for the deck, because as many cards as I'm drawing with it, I will be able to draw into it faster. Of course, it is a 6 and a white sorcery. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. So not too bad. Ley Line of Anticipation, good card to be having in any deck that runs blue, obviously. It's 2 and 2 blue for an enchantment. Ley Line of Anticipation is in your opening hand. You may begin the game with it on the battlefield. You may cast non-land cards as though they had flash. So I'm going to be able to cast everything in here with flash. Archmage Ascension. It's 2 and a blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, if you drew 2 or more cards this turn, you may put a quest counter on Archmage Ascension. As long as Archmage Ascension has 6 or more quest counters on it, if you would draw a card, you may instead search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. So what's so great about this is Arcades is going to draw me at least 2 cards per turn. It's going to be my draw per turn, and then I'm going to play at least 1 defender to draw another card, which is going to trigger Archmage. And just doing that a couple times in a row is going to get me right where I need to be to tutor everything out that I need. It's a beautiful card, I think. Amazing, amazing, amazing card. Life Crafter's Bestiary. It's a 3-drop artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay a green. If you do, draw a card. There we go. You see, I'm constantly wanting to care about what's on top of my library. I want to scry. I want to make sure that the best card for this possibility is on top. And when I'm, casting my creatures, so now that when I'm casting creatures, I'm drawing cards, and when they ETB, I'm going to draw more cards. So I am going to have to be careful not to draw my deck out. Hopefully that's not ever going to be a problem. Burgeoning. It is a 1-drop enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a land, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Now this is going to be great in this deck because, like I said, you see we're constantly drawing cards, so many cards, and people are always going to play lands. You're always going to have extra lands in your hand. So Burgeoning in this deck is just great value for it. So next is Glare of Subdual. It's 2 green and a white for an enchantment. It says tap an untapped creature you control, tap target artifact or creature. So this way I can sit there and control the board a little bit if I really need to with my creatures. Again, allowing what I can afford to let go through and then still be able to block with my tap creatures because of Masako. So then we got Tamayo's Journal. It's a 5-drop legendary artifact. So that's the beginning of your upkeep, investigate, which means put a colorless clue artifact token onto the battlefield with pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. You can also tap, sacrifice 3 clues, search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, then shuffle your library. So basically, I mean, if you're really needing to draw those cards off of the clues, then I guess you sit there, you know, use them up. But my strategy is to save them up every 3 rounds and then go tutor something that I absolutely need at that moment to my hand so I can cast it. So next we've got Duelist Heritage. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. Now, this is a really nice card. So I'm going to be able to obviously give one of my creatures double strike when I swing in with it. But this is, say one of my opponents is swinging at another one of my opponents, I can give one of their creatures double strike as well if it will help finish off that particular opponent. So there's going to be a little bit of politics involved in this card. Wildest Dreams, it is a sorcery. It says XX and green. Use return X target cards from your graveyard to your hand, exile Wildest Dreams. This is one of those like, okay, I need to get this stuff back you know, from the dead ASAP. Bounty of the Luxa is 2, a green and a blue for an enchantment. It says at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, remove all flood counters from Bounty of the Luxa. If no counters were removed this way, put a flood counter on Bounty of the Luxa and draw a card. Otherwise, add colorless, green, and blue to your mana pool. So this is going to help me draw more cards, and it's going to help me ramp. This is such a great card for any deck that's in the colors of Simic. So it's going to give me the extra mana that I need to play more stuff, which is going to try to help me draw more cards. Of course, I know you guys are waiting for it. Assault Formation. It's 1 in the green for an enchantment. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Pay a green. Target creature with Defender can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. I can pay 2 in a green. Creatures I control get +0/+1 until end of turn. So I can pump my creatures up. All my creatures are going to deal damage with their butt instead of just my defenders. Noble Purpose, 3 and 2 white for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you gain that much life. So again, all my creatures are going to have big butts. They're going to do a lot of big damage, and I'm going to gain a lot of big life. Spellbook, 0-drop artifact, says you have no maximum hand size. Auto include must have because you are going to be drawing a ton of cards. So Propaganda is next. It's 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Creatures can attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature he or she controls that's attacking you. So it's basically, you know, trying to tax them so they can't attack you, because they're going to want to play their stuff and then not have mana to, you know, swing at you. So they're going to swing at other creatures, other players. Strength of Isolation is a 1 and a white for an enchantment. Enchant creature gets +1/+2 and has protection from black. It also has a madness cost, which means you may play this card for its madness cost at any time that you discard it from your hand, which can be useful in many ways. But the fact that it's +1/+2, it's a little bit on the front but more on the back. That's what we were really looking for. The pro black is very helpful because, I mean, black is a very pain in the butt kind of color. So next is Triton Tactics. It's a 1-drop instant. It says up to 2 target creatures each get +0/+3 until end of turn. Untap those creatures. At this turn's next end of combat, tap each creature that was blocked by one of those creatures this turn, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So basically it's some really janky combat shenanigans for my defenders. Soul Ring, not even going to go over that. We all know what Soul Ring is. Path to Exile. It's a 1-drop instant. Exile target creature. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle their library. Verdant Rebirth is 1 and a green instant. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. Draw a card. So this is one of those, instant speed. I'm gonna try to save my creature if you're trying to kill it. Strategies allows me to also draw a card, put my defender back to my hand, so I can then cast it to draw more cards. Fire Shrieker, 3-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature has double strike. I just threw it in there because what's not to love about double strike? And I love Fire Shrieker. I love this art for Fire Shrieker. Whisper Silk Cloak. It's a 3-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Shroud and is unblockable. Equipped 2. So that's always a good thing. Probably use that more for Arcades more than anything else. Just make him unblockable and Shroud. That way people can't mess with my commander. Next is Armored Ascension. It's a 3 and a white for enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each planes you control and has flying. So it's just in there for the make hopefully my commander really big or somebody really big, so I can then just swing in for the kill. We've got Arcane Denial, so we've got to have a little bit of nope, you can't mess with my board state or the stack that I'm currently using at the moment, or maybe I don't like this particular creature you're casting, or whatever. Arcane Denial, so it's a 1 in the blue instant counter target spell. Its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. You draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Next is Defensive Maneuvers. It's a 3 and a white for an instant. It says creatures of the type of your choice get +0/+4 until end of turn. So it's kind of costly, but it's all my creatures are going to get +0/+4. So obviously I would choose Walls since that's my predominant creature type, and just pump them all up, swing in for the kill. Dive Down. It's a 1-drop instant. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. So that's going to be pump my creatures up in the butt, which is what of course that's where we want the buff at, because that's where the damage is going. And then it gains it hexproof, that way you can't really mess with it for the rest of that turn. Mana Tithe, 1-drop counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. I know some people may be like, oh, that's a bad card because blah blah blah. Well, I like it, and people never expect Mana Tithe. It's like, so they may not have that 1/2 produce. So it sometimes it's worth to have. Remember the Fallen, it's 2 and a white for a sorcery. It says choose 1 or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and or return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, here's the beautiful thing about this. A lot of my creature defenders, some of them are artifacts. So if the multiple are in the graveyard, I can go like, okay, boom, I'm going to get this as my artifact, and this one is my creature. And then just get 2 for 1 special. Next is Diplomatic Immunity. It's a 1 in a blue for an enchantment creature aura. Enchanted creature can't be the target of spells or abilities. Diplomatic Immunity can't be the target of spells or abilities. So this is another one of those things that I'm just going to try to slap it on my commander. That way you can't mess with it and he ain't going nowhere. Selesnya Signet, of course, is a mana rock, 2-drop, pay 1 tap, add 2 to your mana pool. A Vanguard Shield is a 2-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +0/+3 and can block an additional creature. Equipped for 3, which is being able to block an additional creature is always helpful. Spider Silk Net is a 0-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has reach. Onto the lands. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit, that way you can get a better look at these lands. That right there is an Alpha Island. It's pretty schmecksy, huh? Yeah. They've got a altered art forest from Unglued. Yeah, I think that one's Unglued. And we've got a regular forest from it. We've got an island and a plains. We've got a unhinged plains. We've got foil islands, more foil islands, a foil full art forest, another foil full art forest, another foil forest, foil full art plains. Then we've got prairie stream, which is stamped foil, a foil Yavimaya coast, got a misty rainforest, botanical sanctum. These aren't foil, the temple of the false god, Thornwood Falls, irrigation ditch, irrigated farmland, seaside citadel, Simic growth chamber, Thalicos lowlands, Treva's ruins, and 2 unstable forests. So there you have it. That is the first deck tech of the series. Let me know what y'all think of this deck. Hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, share if you want to. I would really like to hear from you guys in regards to this deck and this series in general. Also, to thank you to the new players that have subscribed to me recently, from just finding me on MTG Arena. I know that a couple of you, it's been good games. I hope that anybody that comes down, you know, it comes down to the MTG Arena and we're battling it out. I don't mean, you know, any disrespect or anything to any of y'all. I want to play good games. I try. If I wind up scooping out of seemingly nowhere, it's probably because I'm getting mana flooded or mana screwed, and I've just got a bad hand, a bad run of it, or maybe I know that you've got the game, so GG. But for the most part, I hope that we're all having fun and all get to play good games of Magic. I do prefer longer games than shorter games, but that's not always up to me. So I'd like to give a shout out to Spin Down Productions. Go check them out. It's run by Andrew Weber. You can find him on Facebook and I believe YouTube. I will try to leave a link down below. Remember, I have a patron. You could be a patron and receive wonderful gifts. You receive all kinds of awesome stuff, plus be included for giveaways. I know that I still haven't done that. I'm still trying to get my hands on certain things to go with the cards. I want certain packs to go with them. That's the thing. And trying to save up the money to get the certain packs for each of these proxy cards to go with them it's turning out to be more difficult than I had anticipated. But I will let you guys know as soon as it happens. Trust and believe, I want to get these out there. I want you guys to win these cards and these packs. So thanks again for everything, all your help, all your support, and until next time, we'll see ya.